The life and sad ending of Belinda Carlisle. Belinda Carlisle was born Belinda Jo Carlisle on August 17th, 1978, in Los Angeles, California. By the time she hit 14, she really went wild. She ran away from home, smoked pot, dropped acid, you name it. She tried it. Pop icon Belinda Carlisle experienced full-blown American success twice in the 1980s. First with the all-female rock band The Go-Go's, and then, at an international level, which she always wanted, was a solo artist. The Go-Go's first album, 1981's Beauty and the Beat, spent 6 weeks at number 1, and they are still the only all-female band to ever have a number 1 album. In 1982, the group released the album Vacation and set out on a major sellout tour of the States. The album debuted in the top 10, one of the first albums to ever do so, peaking at number 8. It would eventually go on to sell over 1 million copies, though the record company only had it satisfied as gold. Problems were arising in the band as tensions grew between member Jane Welding and Belinda, as Jane felt too much focus was placed on Belinda. Members Gina Schrock and Charlotte Caffey both experienced health problems, and all the members were experiencing drug addictions. The group also consistently had problems with their record label, as they were not paid royalties when they should have been. In 1984, the group saw the release of Talk Show, and despite having one of the biggest tours of the summer of 1984, the album was considered a commercial disappointment. The band broke up in the spring of 1985. 1986 saw Belinda releasing her first solo album called, aptly, Belinda. Drug-free, married, happy, and healthy, she continued to experience major success throughout 1989 with the releases of her albums Heaven on Earth and Runaway Horses. With the onslaught of grunge moving in during the early 1990s, Belinda's 1991 effort, Live Your Life, Be Free, barely made a dent on the charts, and its first single peaked at number 83 on the Billboard Hot 100. By 1993, her solo album, Real, also tanked, and her American record company, MCA Records, dropped her a year later. MCA technically should be to blame, as they hardly promoted her work, and most of it sold on its own. They did the same to Olivia Newton-John some 10 years earlier. But just because a pop star isn't experiencing American success does not mean they are not experiencing it elsewhere. Belinda proves to be a huge commodity in Europe, almost as big as Madonna, and sells out stadiums in the UK, where they truly seem to appreciate her. Today, Belinda only occasionally records, both as a solo artist and as a member of the Go-Go's. She considers herself as a part-timer in these fields, as she prefers her home life as opposed to the nail-biting entertainment industry. She appeared in the 1984 Goldie Hawn vehicle Swing Shift, and in 2001, she showed that a 43-year-old woman with no plastic surgery and who isn't a size 0 can still be sexually viable when she posed nude for Playboy. Personal quotes include, "You don't have to be age 20 and size 0 to be sexually viable and to be viable as a woman. Being famous for famous sake wasn't the goal when I co-founded the Go-Go's. I just want to sing and have a laugh. But social media and reality shows like American Idol have created a maelstrom narcissism. I thought I was at the end of music when they started. Discovering Buddhism and chanting a few years before I got sober at 47 was so powerful. It was like holding a mirror in front of me and realizing I was in serious trouble. My new album is Buddhist chants in top form, and it's really personal. Some people won't like it, but I'm not going to just crank out stuff for the sake of it. After 3 decades of cocaine addiction, I can't believe I'm not dead. I should actually look like the Phantom of the Opera, with 2 holes in my face. I'm contrary by nature, and think my addiction owed a lot to that. I always wanted to be a bad girl. I loved all the edgy drug films that made me want to go out and do drugs. I was just born that way. When I started to make money, I went a bit crazy. Once I went to the racetrack, and I woke up the next morning owning a horse. I'd been drinking, doing drugs, and betting, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. Marriage isn't easy. I've been married to Morgan Mason for 31 years, but we've always given each other space. We actually like each other, and he still makes me laugh. I put him through the ringer with my addiction, and once I asked him why he stuck around, and he said he always saw the person underneath. My husband is very much evolved. My absence as a mother when my son James was growing up is my biggest regret. After I got sober, he told me that when he was 3, he thought I lived at the airport. That really hurt. I always felt like an imposter until I got sober. I once saw people queuing to see me outside an arena, and all I thought was, why are they here to see me? I'm a little bit wary of people. It freaked me out when a fan contacted me on social media, then had plastic surgery to look like me, dyed his hair the same color, and got a pug dog like mine. He was also a hacker, so I had to change all my passwords. It was disturbing, but I think that sort of thing happens to well-known people now, especially now. My son has made me more politically active when it comes to LGBTQ rights. When it came out, I worried that what the world was going to be like for him. He's so smart, and he's an activist since he was 17. But with that, and the way the world's going, I worried about him. The American dream always felt possible to me, against all odds. The tough upbringing, the addiction, the people, the pop life, all my experiences. I think that attitude is why I'm still standing here, soon to be 60. Speaking in French and singing in French are both difficult in different ways, but with singing, it had to be so perfect. It was to be about restraint, and it was exhausting. It was challenging, fun, difficult, and a complete labor of love. I don't smoke anymore, I don't drink anymore, and I don't do drugs anymore. I'm very much into Buddhism. I found turning 40 a real passage in time for me. I found myself asking, who was I? Where had I been? What had I been doing? I was wondering about happiness and started reading a lot of books by the Dalai Lama and slowly embraced Buddhism. I grew up in a strict Christian family and was forced to go to church every Sunday, and religion never clicked with me. I just felt that there was something else, but I never found it. But now I certainly have. That is what really happened to her, though which we have to find ourselves a correct direction, away from social evils. Please have the courage to face the negative aspects of society. A beautiful day will appear after a storm, for example.